Welcome back to another episode of Diamond Podcast. I'm your host, local realtor, entrepreneur, community advocate, Alfredo Diamond. Welcome back. Welcome back. Today is a special day. I've got a young man here, someone that inspires me. I'm sure he inspires plenty of others. It was very tough to get him here. I had to go through his assistant, one of his two assistants, to get here. He's just in between flights and just came in off a scuba diving trip off of Costa Rica. I'm just kidding, but he's that type of vibe. So I want to welcome to the show an amazing young man, my friend Jesse Merk, Merk Investments. Welcome to the show, Jesse.
How we doing?
All right. Jesse, you know, I already kind of know you, but man, I really want to take a deep dive in some things that we really haven't had a chance to kind of talk about. But before we get there, I just want to thank you for being who you are and being such an inspiration, first of all, okay?
Appreciate that.
You're welcome. So, Jesse, where are you from? And then get to what brought you to Richmond.
How I got here.
Yes, sir. I want to know.
The beautiful town of Richmond.
Yes,
I
amazing.
call it God's project. He's continuously working on this place. And he put me here for a reason, I think. But so I grew up in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. I grew up on a farm, about a 200-acre farm, and I have 4 brothers. And from there, I went to University of Kentucky, marketing degree, and then I went to law school at Chase up in Northern Kentucky University. That's where I met my wife. She was in med school at Cincinnati. I took the Indiana bar because I was working at a prosecutor's office throughout law school down in Dearborn County. Took the Indiana bar, and Brittany was in med school, and she was getting ready to match. She wanted to either she was looking at some of the top programs in the country. She ended up settling on Duke, which is in Durham, North Carolina. So I practiced for a year in Cincinnati. I was doing like contract work. And then from there, we moved. I didn't want to take the bar again in North Carolina because we figured we'd be back in Indiana, and it was going to be a 4-year stretch there for her anesthesia residency. So I ended up selling copiers, and I had an unbelievable time doing that. I got pretty good at it. I made President's Club, I think 3 out of the 4 years I was
Xerox?
there. So it was so we sold. It was a company called Milner, and we sold like Kyocera, Lanier, Ricoh products. So it wasn't Xerox, but it was a lot of fun, and it gave me a lot of insight, and because I would just go into different businesses, and you meet with the owners.
Yeah.
You're a lot of cold calling,
Getting past the gatekeeper.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
hard.
Trying to figure out who it was, but it was awesome,
Yeah.
and I absolutely loved it. And then from there, I started with some of the money that I was making. I started dabbling in real estate a little bit in North Carolina, and my brother was in South Carolina at the time.
Didn't know that.
So we bought a few rental properties there, and then Brittany ended up, after 4 years residency, she found a job. We wanted to be back closer to home. We were looking in Cincinnati, but we found a position at Reed that looked really good, and she fell in love. We flew down here. She fell in love with the program itself, with like the different people. There was a younger group. The anesthesiologist had a young group at the time. So we really liked it, and we moved here to Richmond in 2016. So we've been here almost 9 years now.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. It's amazing. And I want to unpack several things there, then we'll come back to Richmond in our area. But I want to unpack, first of all, you said the transition from marketing to law school. You kind of broaden that a little bit. What made you decide to go down that path? So
I wanted to go to law school. I wanted to continue just my education, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I always I'm intrigued by business. My dad was he was a national sales manager for a logistics company before the logistics company got really big. And then I wanted to go to law school, and I ended up, when I was in college, I joined the National Guard. Okay. So I was in the National Guard for almost 3 years.
Man.
And when I was in the National Guard, I went to the JAG program after my basic training, and then I did my AIT in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and I was a paralegal specialist. Okay. So I got a kind of little taste of law there throughout the Army, and then I enjoyed that. I enjoyed like the kind of the process and the outside the box thinking. I mean, really, being an attorney is more of like you're looking at the contracts, you're trying to figure out, solve problems.
Yeah.
People come to you with a problem and they say, hey, this is sort of the situation that I'm in. How do you solve it?
Yeah.
So you kind of start thinking outside the box, and that's what I really fell in love with. I didn't really fall in love with like the actual sitting down and kind of typing out. Like that's not my personality to be behind a desk.
Okay.
And so I was doing contract law, so it wasn't. It was really just mundane, boring stuff. But my little brother ended up following in my footsteps and went to the same law school. And then he got into a personal injury. And so he fell into a really good position and I think if I would have went that route at the beginning, I knew that I probably definitely would have stayed in law for sure. But he's blowing up. He has, I think, 4 or 5 attorneys that work for him down in Cincinnati.
Wow.
They're doing, if you go in Cincinnati, he has billboards all over the place and cars that are wrapped. So they're doing really, really well.
And you said 4 brothers. So I know you got you kind of have a partner here and there.
Yeah.
Is this the same guy, same brother?
No, so
brother?
my brother and I, we sort of started pulling our money together so we can buy stuff. And we did that in probably like 20. So my brother Damien, he's a year old, not even a year older than me. He's like 11 months and something, some change. 3 days out of the year, we're the same age. So, but Damien and I we've been in the same grade, went to the same school, same college, everything. And the only thing I went to law school, he didn't go to law school, and then he started his career, found a girl in South Carolina, moved down there. But we've always my dad dabbled in real estate just a little bit. He had a couple rentals. But the reason, we're always looking for investments.
Yeah.
And it seems like, for me, real estate is like, okay, what can I get to that is the end result? You can either, if you have money, people say, well, invest it in stocks or invest it in real estate.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, why make money and then invest in real estate? Why don't, if everybody's saying invest in real estate, go to the source and then start learning that process at the beginning. And I bought my first house when I was probably like 23 when I was in law school. And then when I moved to North Carolina, I started purchasing. I was selling cars on the side, and that was really, it was fun and good money. And then after I sold around 10 to 15 cars, I'd save enough to buy a house. And then I was thinking in my head, like, well, every house that I get, that's one less car I have to sell a month because it's around like $700 or something per rent, or $1,000, whatever I was getting for rent. So
it's pretty amazing. People, I never knew that, and I see this fire and the grind. A lot of people look at people on the outside like, well, dang, like they got this going on, got that going on. They don't see the grind that it took. Like listening to you sell cars, I've had a little. You had your father inspiring you. You know, that is just amazing, and I can see it all coming together now. So when you look at, like, even for me, like learning what I'm learning I'm 44 years old, I'll be 45 next month. I wish I could have learned what I know now, like at your age, and where would I be? But as I'm learning, I'm trying to share it with people, because real estate is a way to build generational wealth, which is very important to me and you. So how do you get, like for me, like my brothers, like the way we grew up, they got their jobs, and that's fine. I was there too.
Yep.
But there was a shift in me, and I wanted more. I didn't know how, but I started learning.
Yeah.
How did you get your brother drawn in to kind of go together? What was that like? Because he's already doing his thing too, and then.
So since we were we both wrestled, we did everything together. So even in middle school, I remember we'd go to Sam's Club or Costco, buy candy bars in bulk, and then sell them on our bus and sell them at school. So we were both in business together.
Yeah.
We would go down the street, sell things. We're very entrepreneurial at a very young age, and we work well together. We complement each other very well. We check each other constantly, making sure that each of us are doing the right thing. It really is kind of checks and balances, and it's really helpful to have somebody on your side that you can ultimately trust.
Yeah.
Because now we're working with a lot of money that's coming in and out of our system, and it's easy to kind of like move around.
Yeah.
And the more that I partner with different people, I realize that not everybody's like my brother. And I've got a very a very, very nice thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm extremely, I don't know what word I'm looking for right now, but I'm glad, one, but fortunate is the word that I'm looking for. Is fortunate. I'm extremely fortunate to have Damien, somebody that I can trust. And I tell everybody, I'm like, I mean, I have a dog daycare business and boarding business in Baltimore, Maryland.
Yeah.
And if I ask my partner to do something, it might be 3 weeks later and he'll do it. And I'm constantly, if I text Damien right now, I can ask him to do anything. I'll say, hey, go online when you get a chance. Go online and do this, 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 and this. And 15 minutes later, it's done. I don't have to think about it after I send that text.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't have to think about anything. And there's not very many people that you can have that level of trust with. Even with even your relationship with your wife is.
Yeah.
There's different degrees,
Yeah.
but I don't know if it's just something like inherent and being in the same DNA or what it is. But it works really, really, really well. So.
Yeah, that's amazing because when you think about mixing business with family, normally a lot of times it's on the other side of that. So having that's amazing you have that. So North Carolina, right?
Yep.
North Carolina, and then you and Brittany moved to Cincinnati for her
moved to here straight
to here.
Yeah, so we were in Durham and we left Durham and moved straight to Richmond, Indiana.
Okay, so what was that like shifting from North Carolina to Richmond?
So the biggest thing is, and when we moved from Cincinnati to Durham, North Carolina, at the time, I mean, I was just graduated law school. She's in med school. We have a ton of friends. I had friends from Kentucky. I have my friends from high school.
Yeah.
And we had so many people, and we're doing all kinds of things and having such a great time. We're probably 25 or so at the time. So then we moved to Durham, and at the time, Durham was like, there was no one there. We didn't know anybody, and we kind of shut it down. We didn't have this open mindset. We were just like, man, we're going to be here for 4 years. Let's just grind, work hard, get done with this, and then we'll start building our life. By the time that we left Durham, this city, they put in 10,000 apartment units.
Wow.
It blew absolutely up. I mean, it went from day one to 4 years later in Durham. I mean, it went from we left probably exploded, and it was one of the
explode like that.
I don't know. It was Research Triangle Park, and I think it was just so because people wanted to move to North Carolina.
Yeah.
People were trying to move to like Raleigh, but Durham was like everyone made fun of Durham. They thought it was like kind of like it was just like pushing it back. It was kind of like run down a little bit, and so I think the prices were just so much cheaper. So, but they blew it up. I mean, and then it became one of the coolest, like hippest cities.
Really?
So when we're there and we're like, dang, we don't really want to leave here. And the weather's perfect. I mean, both we had our baby girl Lincoln was on the way.
Oh.
So then we're like, well, we need to get home closer to family and closer to my parents, and they live an hour still south in Brighton, Indiana,
it all
in
makes
Lawrenceburg.
sense. Yeah, okay.
So then we're like, okay, let's get closer back. So we found Reed, and
wow.
So then we moved straight to Richmond, and we knew it was going to be definitely a culture change.
Yeah.
But we said, okay, when we moved down to Richmond, Indiana, we're not going to have this mindset of closed off and not really. We're going to have a yes mindset. So as soon as we came here, people said, hey, do you want to join the country club? Yes. Do you want to do that? Yes. You know, and it was just like, and it took off.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I mean, I have hundreds of friends here in Richmond, and I absolutely love this town now. And now I invested so much into real estate here and just joining different boards, and I'm extremely, extremely happy here in Richmond. So, we've been here for, I think, going on 10 years now. So,
what was the biggest adjustment you had to make from coming from where you were and how where you grew up to?
Well, probably the food situation here, like the restaurants. I mean, it's just a little bit. We're a little bit behind, but I mean, it's awesome because we're so close to like some of these big cities. But I'm used to always being in a pretty big. I mean, I grew up in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. I mean, our property was basically it's right on the Indiana and Ohio line. My dad actually. His farm, he bought a neighboring farm, but the neighboring farm's in Ohio, and his farm is in Indiana, and the properties touch. So that's how close we are. Yeah. And so we're only about 25 minutes from Cincinnati. So, and I grew up in Cincinnati, then I moved to Lexington, and then back to Cincinnati, and then to Durham, so then it's three pretty big cities, and then coming to like a town like Richmond. And I think it's just the level of everywhere you go, you're running into somebody that you know here. And you're not. It's not in most cities. Most people, you go out, you're not seeing anyone that you know. But
you might see the same. You might see the same person 3 times in the same week at the coffee shop, or something like that. I love that feeling too. And so, what is being here 10 years now? And you've got a good feel for the area, the culture, environment, everything. What would you say would be the biggest opportunity for Richmond, Wayne County, to continue to advance in a positive direction?
Probably.
Sorry to hit you with all that.
No. It's good. I think we need more hope. I think a lot of people in this town, I think they don't think outside. They can't envision themselves a better life. And there's a lot of housing in this town that is just like, I'll go in and the people will be sleeping at 11 o'clock, and I'm a landlord, so so I'll go in and I have to fix something, and they'll be laying on the couch and all the lights are off. I'm like turning on the lights. I'm like, come on, let's go. Like, let's get up. Like, you don't have to be in this situation,
Right.
Like, and it's kind of like a generational thing where they're thinking, well, my parents are kind of like just barely getting by. And it's like, no, there's so much more. Like, look what you can build in this town. And I think the more people that they see, people like you in our community, that they say, hey, like, this guy can do this. This guy can do this. And they're from here. Like, this can happen, and it's just, we need more people like you to give these people hope, to say, hey, like, what else is possible in my life? And I think it's just, they don't think that, they don't see it enough. And we need more people that they see, more people that are touching their lives.
That's true.
To say, hey, like, this is possible.
And we need, sometimes I feel like we're in the same cycle. I feel like we need more people that are in roles that they can help uplift and encourage others, to show people an example as well, because I think that's important to help people realizing that, instead of just being this in our own little rat race, and not pushing the city forward. I think we need more people with great ideas to be involved and get in touch with them like that. So, if you don't mind, is it okay? Can you share, like, how many properties do you have here in Richmond?
I'm up to, I think, 87 properties here in Richmond.
87.
And,
wow, that's incredible. Is there being an entrepreneur and business owner and having that much real estate in Richmond? Do you feel like there's anything that the city could do to help support and help you grow in your business? Well,
my mission is, I think they look at, and there's so much growth right now happening. I'm on a fund right now that we're getting ready to pump in a bunch of money to downtown and the commercials. We have the R&R project, the Eli Lilly Foundation. There's hundreds of millions of dollars getting pumped into Richmond, but they're looking at just like the commercial spaces, and they're saying, hey, look at these older buildings, and they want to revitalize the older buildings. And I'm like, well, there are a lot of rundown residential buildings that need to be either torn down or renovated and remodeled. And I'm looking at every one of my properties. I go in and I'm putting on new roofs. I'm painting them. I'm making them look nice. And I feel like it's kind of like that kind of gets passed up. People are not, I don't know if it's because it's so, like, if you're doing one here, you're doing one on one other street, it doesn't really like open it up. But there's a lot of streets in Richmond that really can be turned around, and the housing. I think it's like 90% of Richmond residents rent. So there's not a lot of ownership. So, and then these landlords, they'll come in and they don't really care. They're getting their money, and as long as everything's like working properly, functioning, they're not caring about the aesthetics of the house really on like the outside. And I think if more people took ownership and more landlords took ownership of their buildings and say, hey, let's make this actually look nice as well, I think that would absolutely help. And I think having grants or trying to focus some of this energy that's going down to the main core of the commercial spot, try to see if we can help beautify like the actual homes of the city as well, because you need that just as much, because we need better housing, nicer homes, and then because those are the ones that are going to fill and start their businesses and start leasing out some of this commercial space as well. So I think it has to be a little bit of a two-sided streak on this.
I was riding around the city and I was thinking about that. Just sometimes you're just riding and you just think like, ah. And, I was questioning, like, that's awesome for downtown.
Mm-hmm.
But then you think about the blight program and these empty lots and houses. And I grew up on the north side of Richmond. Yeah. There's some great people on the north side. And I don't like when I hear like certain stigmas or comments because there's great people there. And it just, unfortunately, it gets a bad rap. Those are opportunity zones to me. Like investors like, man, you and I both know it's tough to find deals. Yep. It's tough to find deals right now. We have to create them. There's a whole plethora of property on the north side. Yep. And I'm telling people like, man, the next wave is the north side. Yeah. And so I see opportunity. So is the situation where they're just kind of, hopefully they're trying to get the downtown secured and then they'll start spreading things out. And do you think that's the...
I don't know if it's, I think they want to definitely see downtown because
it's the heartbeat.
Well, I think that the main players that are pushing all this stuff in, I don't think that they're living in those north side. They're definitely not living in the north sides and the South Ninth, that area. Yeah. And it's like, well, we want our city to be beautiful, but they don't look at we want these row of houses. Right. It's like we don't really. They're skipping over that because it doesn't really do a difference for them for these big projects. But those are what so they say, hey, I live in Richmond, and when people drive into Richmond, but I'm like, but the only thing is, if you have to drive through all these neighborhoods that are run down, you're still getting a little bit of a bad rap, how do we need to start working on both, and I have ideas that say hey, if the more investors that are doing the same thing that you're doing, I'm doing. I mean, there's a lot of investors that are coming in and just flipping houses is huge. Yeah. And they don't, flippers don't really, they almost get a bad rap, and it's man, these people
depends who it is.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's these people are going into these houses and making it look really, really nice, as nice as they possibly can. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sure some of them are cutting corners, but at the end of the day, if you look at it, they took a trash house and made it a super nice house.
And I don't think they realize how much money it takes to get it there, and what your profit margin might or might not be when you get done, depending on what you find. Yep. So Jesse, so when you think about your business, Merk Investments, what's the mission behind it? What sets your approach apart from other local investment space?
Merk Investments. So my brother and my wife's an anesthesiologist, and she's an unbelievably hardworking woman and working her butt off constantly.
Shout out to Brittany Abroad. If you haven't checked it out, check out her cool vlogs on Instagram. Brittany Abroad, check it out.
So she just started an Instagram and Facebook, I guess, and it's Brittany Abroad, and she's had 2 videos in the last 3 weeks that went viral. She had one
crazy
3.5 million, and then she had one Larkin going on a plane, and it's up to 7.2 million.
That's nuts.
So, and she has 5,000. I think almost she's pushing 10,000 followers total across platforms.
That's amazing.
Right now in 2 months. So
Is she on TikTok too?
Yeah, she's on TikTok too. So her TikTok went viral. That was one, and then she had an Instagram reel that went viral. Just last week. So, and then last night she posted one that's already up to 15,000 views. So she's doing really, really well. But everything she touches turns to gold. She's a special, special woman.
And I love how she is starting to incorporate her being an anesthesiologist, and she'll do little segments of why this happens, why you can't wear makeup going into. So I'm checking it out. Yeah. I'm watching. I'm sharing her stuff too. That's amazing. I love seeing your content. Yeah. So Merk Investments.
Yeah. So Merk. My thing is I want to work just as hard as Brittany's working. So if she's at work, I'm not sitting at home and watching TV. I'm out hustling and finding deals. I have 13 guys that are relying on me every single day to say, hey, Jesse, what do I do today? What are we doing today? So my mind's constantly running and putting people and saying, hey, well, they need this. Who's going to get this? Where's this trailer going to go? And constantly building and having work. I have to plan for 2-3 months from now to make sure that the ball just keeps on rolling. I can't stop. But, I tell people this, and I know that a lot of people they don't believe it, but there's a certain point where it's not really about the money. The money's going to come, but it's more of, I mean, it's the battle. It's every day for me. It's the responsibility, knowing that people are relying on me, knowing that, and then I can vision something, and then I can see it down the road.
Yeah.
So I just enjoy the process so much. I mean, I've got a weird personality. I love buying houses. I think it's just fun. And then finding a house and then completely remodeling. The end result. You know,
you had your hands on it.
Exactly. There's few jobs anymore that you can do. I mean, it's something like cutting grass.
Yeah.
You know, it's instant gratification. You know, you cut the grass and you're like,
stripes.
dang, like, look at how nice this looks.
Yeah.
You know, and there's not very many jobs where you're building something and then you have an end result.
Yeah.
So I'm getting to do this every day, and we're going through a house, and 1 week I could say, man, I mean, my guys are so good right now. And I say, okay, let's go in here and completely do it. People move out, and the house is trash sometimes. So I'll go in there, clean it, paint, everything, and it's like a brand new home again. And it only took 3 days. I'm like, man, I wish I would document before and after, but this is constantly. And that really gives me the energy to keep on going. And of course, like, I mean, everything, it just keeps building, and that's why I enjoy the process, the build, the momentum of just keep on going and making this. How big is it going to get? I don't know. And Brittany asks me all the time. She said, like, when are you going to stop? And I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like, I love doing this. I'm not going to stop. Like, this is what I love doing. I love getting up and going. You know. So
I love that energy from you, man. You push me, inspire me. You one of the people. I've got like this triangle, and the people that I trust and bounce ideas off of. Sometimes I'm gonna go do my thing, but you're one of those people. I know you're gonna tell me to do me straight and let me know like, that's a terrible idea, and that's a good idea. Like, you're one of those people. So, you know, all those properties, people don't realize one of the things that kind of like irks me a little bit. Now, there's some bad landlords out there.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard people horror stories, like people living in properties. There's no freaking furnace in there. Like, that's terrible. But I also see people make comments like, you set your rent price, and they look at the pictures, and they're like, the laugh symbols and crap like that. They don't realize what it costs. Like, I had a $12,000 turnover here a couple months ago. Like, what's been your worst turnover from where a tenant just absolutely destroyed your property?
Well, I mean, I have places where people are living in literally like feces. I mean, they've just completely destroyed every wall, and I go in, and it's like, I mean, you hear these horror stories, and so my mind almost gets numb because I'm like, man, like, you can't really, even if people look, they play the part. I think that there's professional. I think there's professional tenants, where they know the game and they try. I mean, I know the game pretty well. I've been doing it for 12 years now, so I know it pretty well, and I manage all of my own stuff. I mean, I'm the one that's collecting the money. I'm the one who's texting them everything. But it's just, I mean, you'll go into these places and they'll be absolutely destroyed, and I had to put $10,000-$15,000 into a place.
They don't see that.
No, and it's a lot
you just lost
of work.
whatever you would have made. You just lost it pretty much.
Yeah, entire year.
One of the games that, and it's been going, it's kind of not in our favor neither, and I want to know how you handle that. So it's their sanitation billing.
Yep.
So if someone moves out, you're already a victim. Like, they might be hundreds of dollars or $1,000 behind in rent. You're already losing that.
Yep.
But then you don't get your sanitation bill for another month later, and it's in your name now.
Yep.
So how do you handle that situation?
So it follows the house, and it's so incredibly. So I have the sanitation department. The only thing that I could do to combat
get a copy
this,
of the bill.
Yeah, I get a copy of the bill. So when they're starting to get like pretty high up, then I see, or if they're getting ready to move out, I'm definitely holding back all their deposits and everything else.
They're probably behind at that point anyway.
But I mean, I know that it makes sense for like the city, because they're like, well, we don't want to get stuck with the bill. Of course, we can make this owner pay for it.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, you can sue that person. I'm like, well, this is your contract with them.
Right.
Like, you don't have to. They don't ask us.
Right.
There's, and it's like, if you call the water company, so it's tied together. You can't turn somebody's water off.
No.
But if it's still on, they can still keep running the bill, and it's on you.
$300-$400.
I mean, it's unbelievable. And I had my brother and I, we looked at, because we're like, wait, maybe we should sue them and see if we can get anywhere with this traction.
It's not worth the energy.
No, you can't. And then I spoke with Brad Barrett, local representative, and I'm telling him this, and he's trying to work out a system to where it makes sense. I mean, the problem is, if you're asking one part of the government to kind of combat another part of the government. And usually, like, that's not really going to mesh too well, you know? But you have to start somewhere, and it's like, is it fair to us? I don't think so at all. Like, not at all. But
I've tried to put in my name, and the bills fluctuating, and I'm losing money. There's a leak. They don't say nothing. You know, maybe it's the answer. Maybe we add a deposit on or something like just for that, which makes it tough for people to afford to get in there.
Exactly.
So, but anyway, so Jesse, you know, man, you got so much energy. You're all over the place. You're a serial entrepreneur. What's your why?
I would say my why is just, I mean, one, it's the same thing with the Merk Investments. It's every day knowing that I have something to do. I need to have the drive behind me. And I think, I mean, one is my family. I have two little precious girls, Lincoln and Larkin, and Brittany, and she inspires me, I think, more than anyone because she's working so hard every single day. Yeah. And if she's doing it, I'm doing it. Yeah. You know, I should be the man of the house, but I have this superwoman, you know, that's just crushing it. Yeah. So I have to kind of try to compete with her. So my why, I guess, would be to make sure that she knows that I'm doing everything I can to grow our family and to make our family more successful and to show our daughters sort of like, hey, this is what you can see. Like, this is your dad, and this is what he's doing. You know, like, you can see this. So hopefully you can model a little bit after it to make sure, you know, and just trying to keep everything in line with that. So
I love that. In closing, man, is there anyone that you would like to give a shout out to today that's inspired you along your journey, continues to push you? Anybody you want to reach back to and just say, man, thank you for giving me this nugget of information or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, throughout everything, I mean, my dad has been an extreme, biggest mentor of my entire life. I mean, I love this man to death, and he showed me and instilled a work ethic like no other. I mean, he's still 70-some years old, working on a farm, and he goes from a business standpoint to a farm standpoint to a rental standpoint every single day, and he's continuing. I mean, he just bought a farm 2 years ago, another one. Wow. So, I mean, he's doing so much, and that gave me and instilled the work ethic and, I mean, just morally always doing the right thing and making the right decisions. And I think that I modeled myself after that. So, that, and also, again, Brittany. So,
man, it's been a pleasure having you here, man. This dude, you know, triathlon winner. You might see him in New York running a mini marathon, scuba diving. Man, amazing golf game, impeccable golf swing.
Yeah, right. Come on.
This dude just inspiring. It's been a pleasure to have me here and pleasure to call you my friend.
Absolutely, I love you,
and I love you too, man. Thank you for being here. That wraps up another episode of Diamond Podcast. Hope you enjoyed the show. We will see you next time.